Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing Psycho by Robert Bloch. I found this one really cheap on eBay, and obviously I knew about the movie by Alfred Hitchcock. If you haven't watched that movie, then you should. If you are only going to watch one movie by Alfred Hitchcock, it's got to be Psycho, as it is a really good movie, as it is a horror movie and it doesn't glorify violence. Even the notorious shower scene, you don't actually see the knife penetrating the body as the killer is claiming their victim. And also the character of Norman Bates in that movie and the actor that portrays him is absolutely fantastic. They couldn't have made a better choice. So for this video, I am going to presume that you're watching this and you haven't watched the movie. If you have watched the movie, the book is more or less exactly the same, but I'm going to be doing this video just in case you haven't seen the movie. But if you haven't, go watch the movie. Go and actually watch the movie. It is epic. So in this book, we follow a female character called Mary, who I think she's a secretary for this big business, and her boss gives her a large amount of money, like $50,000 I think it is. I can't remember the exact amount, but it is a really big amount. And she says, oh, don't worry, I will take it to the bank and I will deposit it for the company, and don't worry about a thing, or it's all good, I'll sort it out. So she takes the money, but that's not what she intends to actually do. She intends to take the money for herself and run away with the money. She doesn't really have a plan as such. She doesn't know what she's going to do with the money, and in this situation she knows that she's going to be in trouble with with her boss and with the police. She drives away, and she sells her car twice to try to throw off any way of them actually tracking her down. And we find out that she has a sister. I can't remember whether she is disabled or what, but she's a younger sister, and it's implied that she's going to use this money somehow to make her life and her sister's life somehow better. So one day she is driving along this highway at night, and she comes across this motel called the Norman Bates Motel, whether it's called the Bates Hotel or the Bates Motel rather. And she's the only person there, and she comes across the proprietor or the owner of this business called Norman Bates, who has this house behind the motel, and he says that he lives in this house alone with his mother, who strangely we don't actually see that much, but she is a prominent figure throughout this book. Norman is a bit of a loner. He keeps to himself a lot. He's very unusual, but he seems to be a very sweet and innocent and harmless person. And yes, he does seem to be a bit of a mummy's boy. He does worship his mother a lot, but at the same time he actually doesn't really like the relationship with his mother. There's actually kind of like a love-hate relationship, if that made any sense at all. So Norman takes Mary up to his house to have some dinner, and they have a conversation, and she says, right, I'm tired now, I've been on the road for hours and I just want to go to bed. So she goes back to her room, has a shower, and she ends up being viciously attacked and murdered by Norman's mother. Norman knows that his mother has actually done this, but he doesn't want her to be caught and actually sent to prison. He doesn't want her to be put into a home or a mental asylum. So he decides to protect his mother, as any good son should actually do. As a result of this, he disposes of the body and he pretends that nothing has actually happened. He thinks up alibis in his mind about stuff that he's going to say to the authorities, and he knows what's actually happened. He's fully aware about what's actually happened, and his mother has wandered off somewhere and he's not sure where she's actually gone. So some time has actually passed, and Mary's sister and her lover, Mary's lover, are wondering about where Mary has actually gone. They actually know that she's been accused of stealing all this money, and they are saying, oh, Mary would never do this, she would never do anything like this, you got it wrong somehow. And there's a detective going around trying to solve the case and trying to find out what actually happened. And they find out that Mary was last seen at the Bates Motel or around that area. So the sheriff says, oh, don't worry, Norman Bates is an innocent person, he's no one to be concerned about, he's basically nothing to worry about. And the sheriff even calls Norman and says, oh, hi, we've got this couple here, they're saying that this woman stopped at your place. And he basically said, yeah, I mean, this woman came to stay the night, and then the very next day she drove off, and that's all. So yeah, it's all about Mary's sister and her lover going to the Bates Motel and trying to discover and uncover what actually happened with Mary, and actually what is happening at the Bates Motel and with Norman himself. I don't want to give away too much, as if you haven't seen the movie, I feel that that is just enough for you to get a taste about what this book is all about. And if you have seen the movie, then you know what actually happens. This was the first ever Robert Bloch book that I have ever read, and going into it I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. But with a book that was adapted into a movie, there's always a chance of it being slightly different or even totally different than the movie. But Alfred Hitchcock followed this pretty much page for page. It is really easy to read and understand. It is not complex or difficult, and yes, it does drag on a bit, but it was never boring for me. I was completely hooked with this story and with these characters, although I personally felt that the characters were only slightly weaker and the story was more interesting to me, but that's just my opinion. So what I'm going to rate Psycho by Robert Bloch is a 5 stars out of 5. It is not a perfect book, but I had a extreme amounts of enjoyment and fun while reading this story. So in conclusion, despite whether you've seen the movie or not, I would highly recommend that you read this book, especially during this time of the year. And it just explores the mental state of someone that's not quite right and slightly unhinged, and maybe it was, maybe it explores the effects of cabin fever and being in an environment that is restricted and confined. And it is a really good case of a psychological thriller, and if you're into that type of thing in real life, if you're studying it, and if you're interested in how the human brain actually works, then I would definitely recommend this to you. This is a great example of that. So that's it, guys. That is my review for Psycho. I have got to this second book on the way, so I am excited to read that book. I'm not sure whether it's going to be as good as the first one, as I have seen all the other Psycho sequels, and they aren't as good as obviously the first one, but that's just a given. But if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment down below. Let me know if you have read this book and if you enjoyed it or not. If you have enjoyed this video as a whole, please consider subscribing to my channel, and if you do, please click on that bell, as it will remind you whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. I will have a link down below to my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads and see what I'm currently reading. And with all that out the way, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.